The cry came from beneath the roses. Lena dropped the watering can. Her knees hit the soil before her mind caught up. That sound, thin, muffled, desperate, wasn't the wind, wasn't an animal. It was human. Her fingers clawed through the earth, tearing past roots and petals. The dirt was loose, fresh. Wrong. Then she saw it. A small hand, pale, still, fingers curled toward the sky like a final prayer. No, 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 no. Lena dug faster, her nails splitting against stone and stem. And then, 6-year-old Noah Callahan, the boy she'd tucked into bed 12 hours ago, the boy who called her Miss Lena and saved her last cookie from his lunch. He was buried. His lips were blue, his chest barely moved. Dirt clung to his lashes like he'd been crying underground. "Help!" Lena screamed, lifting him into her arms. His body was cold, too cold. "Somebody help me!" But the mansion stayed silent. No footsteps, no voices. Just the wind through the hedges and the pounding of her own heart. She didn't see the figure in the window. She didn't notice the woman standing 3 floors up, watching through the glass. Lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Because this wasn't an accident, it was a message. And Lena had just become the prime suspect in a crime she'd risked everything to stop. Hey, welcome to Unbroken Truths. Before we go deeper into this nightmare, I need to ask, where are you watching from right now? Drop your location in the comments. And if you're new here, if this is your first time hearing one of these stories, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second, and it helps more than you know. Now, let's find out who really buried that little boy. Lena Bennett had learned long ago that hope was a luxury poor people couldn't afford. She was 26 years old. No parents. They died in a factory fire when she was 9. No siblings, no inheritance. Just a decade of foster homes, odd jobs, and prayers whispered into ceilings that never answered, until the Callahan mansion. 8 months ago, she answered an ad for a live-in housekeeper. The pay was modest, but the listing promised meals, a private room, and stability. For a woman who'd spent 2 winters sleeping in her car, stability sounded like paradise. What she hadn't expected was to fall in love with 2 children who weren't hers. Noah was 6, bright-eyed, curious, and heartbreakingly gentle. He collected rocks from the garden and named them after planets. He asked Lena questions no adult had ever bothered to ask her. What's your favorite color? Do you think clouds have feelings? If you could fly anywhere, where would you go? His sister Iris was 8, quieter, watchful. She carried a stuffed rabbit named Oliver everywhere and rarely smiled, except when Lena braided her hair or read her stories before bed. Iris had her mother's eyes, everyone said, and her mother's silence. Their mother, Catherine Callahan, had died 2 years before Lena arrived, a fire in the east wing of the mansion. The official report called it an electrical fault, but the staff whispered other things. Strange timing, locked doors, a wife who recently changed her will. No one said it out loud, no one dared, because 3 months after Catherine's death, Victor Callahan, one of the wealthiest men on the eastern seaboard, had taken a new woman into his life. Serena Drake. She arrived like smoke, beautiful, composed, untouchable. Her smile was a weapon, her voice silk wrapped around a blade. She wore designer gowns to breakfast and spoke to the children with saccharine sweetness that made Lena's skin crawl. Within 6 months, Serena had a ring on her finger and full access to Victor's accounts, his home, and his children. Lena watched it all unfold with growing unease. Serena never yelled, never threatened, but there were moments small, sharp, easily missed that told Lena everything she needed to know. The way Serena's jaw tightened when Noah ran to Lena instead of her, the way her eyes went flat when Iris mentioned her mother's name, the way she smiled at Victor in public and stared at the children in private like they were obstacles to be removed. Lena had seen predators before, in foster care, on the streets, in the faces of men who promised safety and delivered pain. Serena Drake was the most dangerous kind who wore kindness like a costume. Victor Callahan was a different story. At 52, he was powerful but not cruel, distant but not cold, the kind of man who built empires but forgot his daughter's birthday, who signed checks for charities but couldn't name his son's favorite book. He wasn't evil, he was absent. And in that absence, Serena had planted herself like a vine, wrapping tighter every day. Lena pitied him. She also resented him. How could he not see it? How could he watch Serena flinch away from Noah's hugs and call it adjustment? How could he hear Iris cry at night and blame it on grief? But Lena kept her mouth shut. She was the help, the invisible woman who changed sheets and scrubbed floors and existed only in the margins of their gilded lives. Until the night everything changed. It was 3 weeks before Lena found Noah in the garden. She was passing Serena's private study room the staff were forbidden to enter when she heard voices. Low, tense. A phone call. Lena froze. "The boy is the problem," Serena was saying. "Victor dotes on him. If something were to happen, something tragic, he'd lean on me completely. The girl is manageable, but Noah needs to go." Lena's blood turned to ice. She pressed herself against the wall, barely breathing. "I don't care how. Make it look natural. An accident, a disappearance. I've done this before, remember? Lisbon, Johannesburg. They never found the first one, did they?" A pause, a laugh, cold, musical, inhuman. "Relax. By the time anyone suspects anything, I'll be Mrs. Callahan with full custody and a grieving husband wrapped around my finger. The maid, she's nobody. If anything goes wrong, she takes the fall. Who's going to believe a woman with no family, no money, and no past?" The call ended. Lena didn't move, couldn't move. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Her mind screamed at her to run, to call the police, to grab the children and flee into the night. But she knew the truth. She had nothing. No proof, no credibility, no power, and Serena had everything. For 3 weeks, Lena watched, waited, and gathered what she could. She noticed the strange vitamins Serena insisted Noah take every morning, pills that made him drowsy and confused. She found receipts for sedatives hidden in Serena's desk. She photographed pages from a journal that documented behavioral strategies for the children's chilling, clinical notes on isolation, manipulation, and control. But she couldn't go to Victor. He was blind, besotted. Every word Lena spoke against Serena would be twisted into jealousy, instability, obsession. She couldn't go to the police. What evidence did she have? A few photos? An overheard phone call? They'd laugh her out of the station. So Lena did the only thing she could. She stayed close to the children, watched them like a hawk, slept with her door open so she could hear any movement in the night. And she prayed to God, "If you're listening, don't let her win. Not this time. Not with these babies." The night before Lena found Noah in the garden, Iris came to her room. The girl stood in the doorway, clutching Oliver the rabbit, her face pale as moonlight. "Miss Lena? Sweetheart, what's wrong? Did you have a nightmare?" Iris shook her head slowly. "She told me something. Serena, she said Mommy's ghost is angry, that Mommy died because of me, because I wasn't good enough." Lena's chest cracked open. She pulled Iris into her arms, holding her tight. "That's not true. That's a lie, baby. Your mother loved you more than anything in this world. Don't you ever believe otherwise." "But why would she say it?" "Because she's a monster," Lena thought. "Because she wants you broken." "Some people," Lena whispered, "say cruel things to control others. It's not about you, it's about her. And I promise I won't let her hurt you, or Noah. Do you understand?" Iris nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Can I sleep here tonight?" Lena smoothed her hair. "Of course, sweetheart, of course." They lay together in the dark, Iris curled against Lena's side like a child seeking shelter from a storm. And Lena stared at the ceiling, making a vow she intended to keep, even if it cost her everything. The next morning, Noah vanished. His bed was empty. His shoes were gone. The garden gate was open. Lena searched for 2 hours before she heard the cry beneath the roses. And when she pulled that little boy from the earth, his heart beat faint, but fighting, she knew. This was Serena's work. And Lena was the only one who could stop her. If you've ever felt invisible, like no one would believe you, even if you screamed the truth, then you understand what Lena's facing. But here's the thing about underdogs. They fight harder because they've got nothing left to lose. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever known something was wrong, but couldn't prove it? What did you do? The ambulance screamed away from the Callahan estate, carrying Noah's fragile body toward salvation. Lena stood on the gravel driveway, mud caked to her elbows, her uniform torn at the knees. She couldn't stop shaking. "He's alive. He's alive. He's alive." She repeated it like a mantra, trying to drown out the other voice, the one whispering that this nightmare was only beginning. Red and blue lights painted the mansion in alternating bruises. Police cars lined the circular drive. Officers moved through the garden with flashlights and evidence bags, their faces grim, and then Serena appeared. She descended the marble steps like a grieving angel, silk robe billowing, eyes glistening with manufactured tears. Her performance was flawless, the trembling lip, the clutching hands, the way she collapsed against Victor's chest as if the weight of tragedy might shatter her. "I can't believe this," she sobbed. "Who would do something so horrible to a child?" Victor held her, his face ashen. He looked 20 years older than he had that morning. "The police will find out. They have to." Serena pulled back, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. Then slowly, deliberately, she turned toward Lena. She was the last one with him. The words dropped like stones into still water. Victor frowned. "Serena, what are you?" "The maid." Serena's voice hardened, the tremor replaced by something cold. "She's always hovering around the children, always watching them. I've seen the way she looks at Noah like he belongs to her." Lena's stomach plummeted. "That's not. And isn't it convenient?" Serena pressed, addressing the nearest officer. "She found him. She knew exactly where to dig. How would she know that unless she put him there?" "I heard him crying." Lena's voice cracked. "I heard him under the soil. I saved his life. Or you staged a rescue to cover your tracks." Serena's eyes were ice. "I've seen this before. Disturbed individuals who harm children just to play the hero. It's a sickness." Victor stepped forward, confusion warring with doubt on his face. "Lena, is there any truth to this?" The question gutted her. 8 months of loyalty, of love, of protecting his children when he couldn't be bothered to notice. And now he was looking at her like she was a stranger, like she was capable of burying his son alive. "Mr. Callahan," her voice was barely a whisper, "I would never hurt Noah or Iris. I love those children." "Love?" Serena laughed, a brittle, mocking sound. "You're the help, dear. You don't get to love them. You get to clean their rooms and stay in your place." Before Lena could respond, a new figure emerged from the chaos, Detective Julian Cross. He was tall, late 30s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. His suit was rumpled, his jaw shadowed with stubble, but there was a quiet authority in the way he moved, like a man who'd seen humanity's worst and learned to read its lies. "Mrs. Drake." He didn't offer his hand. "I'm the lead investigator on this case. I'll need statements from everyone in the household." Serena smiled, all warmth and cooperation. "Of course, Detective. Whatever you need. We just want justice for poor Noah. I'm sure you do." His gaze lingered on her a beat too long, then shifted to Lena. "You're the one who found the boy?" "Yes, sir." "Walk me through it, every detail." For the next hour, Lena recounted everything: the watering can, the faint cry, the desperate digging. Detective Cross listened without interruption, his pen scratching notes into a leather-bound pad. His expression gave nothing away. When she finished, he asked, "Did you see anyone else in the garden? Before or after?" Lena hesitated. The truth clawed at her throat. "I know who did this. I heard her planning it." She's standing 20 feet away, pretending to cry. But what proof did she have? A phone call she overheard 3 weeks ago? No recording. No witness. Just the word of a maid against the future Mrs. Callahan. "No," Lena said quietly. "I didn't see anyone." Cross studied her for a long moment. Something flickered in his eyes, not suspicion but curiosity, like he was solving a puzzle she couldn't see. "Stay in town," he said finally. "Don't leave the estate without informing us. We'll have more questions." Lena nodded, her heart sinking. She was trapped, suspected, alone. And somewhere in that mansion, Serena was smiling. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her narrow bed in the servants' quarters, replaying every moment. The garden, the dirt, Noah's blue lips, Serena's accusations. How did she do it? The question gnawed at her. Serena couldn't have buried Noah herself. She'd been at a charity brunch all morning, surrounded by witnesses. She must have had help, someone to drug the boy, carry him outside, dig the grave. But who? Lena's mind raced through possibilities. The gardener? He has been with the family for 15 years, loyal to a fault. The cook? She barely spoke to anyone, let alone conspired with the mistress of the house. Then Lena remembered something. 3 days ago, a man came to the service entrance, tall, heavy-set, with a scar across his left eyebrow. He asked for Serena by name, not Mrs. Drake, not the lady of the house, just Serena. Lena had thought it strange at the time. Now it felt significant. She needed evidence, something the police couldn't ignore. Her eyes drifted to the window. The garden was dark, sealed off with yellow tape, but beyond it, Half hidden by hedges sat the old greenhouse, a crumbling structure Victor had been meaning to demolish for years. No one ever went there, which made it the perfect place to hide something. At 2 a.m., Lena slipped out of the servants' quarters. The mansion was silent. She moved through the shadows like a ghost, avoiding the security cameras she memorized during her months of employment. Her heart hammered against her ribs. If anyone caught her, if Serena caught her, it was over. The greenhouse loomed ahead, its glass panels cracked and fogged with age. The door groaned as she pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. Old gardening tools rusted on hooks. Broken pots littered the floor. Moonlight filtered through the fractured roof, casting everything in pale silver. Lena searched methodically, shelves, corners. Beneath overturned planters was nothing. Then her foot caught on a loose floorboard. She knelt, prying it up with trembling fingers. Beneath it lay a small metal box, the kind used for storing documents or valuables. Her breath caught. Inside the box, a bundle of cash, thousands of dollars bound with rubber bands, a burner phone, cheap and untraceable, and a stack of photographs. Lena's blood ran cold. The photos showed children, different children in different countries. Some were smiling, some were crying, some missing. And in several of them, standing in the background with a face younger but unmistakable, was Serena Drake, or rather the woman who called herself Serena Drake. A newspaper clipping at the bottom of the box confirmed Lena's worst fears. Lisbon Herald. 2019, Elena Vance sought in connection with disappearance of wealthy businessman's daughter. Authorities believe Vance, 32, operated under multiple aliases across Europe and South Africa, targeting affluent families with children. She remains at large. Lena stared at the photograph accompanying the article. The same eyes, the same smile, the same predator. Serena Drake was Elena Vance, and she's done this before. Lena stuffed the evidence into her jacket, her hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped the box. This was it. Proof. Undeniable, damning proof. But as she turned to leave, a voice cut through the darkness. I wondered when you'd start snooping. Lena spun around. Serena stood in the greenhouse doorway, backlit by moonlight, her face half-shadow. She wasn't wearing silk now, just black clothes, practical and dark. And in her hand she held a syringe. You know, Serena said softly, stepping closer, I almost admired you. Most maids keep their heads down, do their jobs, but you actually care about those children. It's pathetic, really, and inconvenient. Lena backed against a shelf, her pulse roaring in her ears. The police know. I sent them everything. No, you didn't. Serena smiled. You're not that smart. You came here alone in the middle of the night, like the desperate little nobody you are, and now you've seen too much. She raised the syringe. This is the same thing I gave Noah. Ketamine. Enough to make you sleep forever. They'll find you in the morning, the unstable maid who couldn't handle the guilt of what she did. Tragic, really. Lena's mind screamed for a way out. The door was blocked. The windows were too high, and Serena was closing in. Then a crash. The greenhouse door slammed open. Iris Callahan stood in the entrance, her face streaked with tears, her small body trembling. Behind her, clutching a phone, was Detective Cross. Step away from her. Cross commanded, his weapon drawn. Now. Serena's composure cracked just for a second. Then she laughed, high and wild. Do you think this changes anything? I've escaped worse than this. I always do. Not this time. Cross moved forward, his aim steady. Elena Vance, you're under arrest for attempted murder, child endangerment, and suspicion of multiple counts of fraud and abduction across international jurisdictions. Serena's eyes flickered to Lena's pure, venomous hatred. This isn't over, she hissed. You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. But as the handcuffs clicked around her wrists, Lena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Strength. The arrest should have ended it. Serena, Elena, was in custody. The evidence was in police hands. Noah was recovering in the hospital, his vitals stable, his small body fighting its way back to life. But the nightmare wasn't over. It was evolving. 3 days after the greenhouse confrontation, Lena sat in Detective Cross's cramped office at the precinct. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Coffee stains marked the desk like constellations, and the look on Cross's face told her everything she needed to know. She made bail. Lena's stomach dropped. What? Victor Callahan posted it this morning. $3 million. Cross rubbed his temples, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. His lawyers are arguing that the evidence was obtained illegally, that you trespassed on private property without authorization. They're trying to get the photographs and documents thrown out. But she confessed. She had a syringe. She was going to kill me. She's claiming self-defense, says she found you breaking into the greenhouse and feared for her safety. Cross leaned back in his chair. Her story is that you're obsessed with the family, that you fabricated evidence to frame her because she was taking your place in the children's lives. Lena couldn't breathe. And Victor believes her? I don't know what Victor believes, but he's standing by her for now. His lawyers are good, Lena, really good, and they're painting you as the villain. The injustice of it burned like acid in her throat. She'd risked everything, found the proof, nearly died in that greenhouse. And now the monster was free, spinning lies that turning the truth inside out. What do I do? She whispered. Cross met her eyes. For the first time, she saw something beyond professional detachment, something almost like respect. You keep fighting. We dig deeper. Elena Vance has trial aliases, victims, crimes that span a decade. If we can connect her to the other cases, if we can find witnesses or survivors willing to testify, her lawyers won't be able to spin their way out. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. And in the meantime, she's back in that house with those children. Cross's jaw tightened. I know, believe me, I know, but my hands are tied until we build a stronger case. He paused, then added quietly, You're not alone in this, Lena. I believe you, and I'm going to help you prove it. Something shifted in Lena's chest, a flicker of warmth amid the cold. Why? She asked. Why do you care? I'm just a maid. Everyone keeps reminding me of that. Cross was silent for a long moment. Then he reached into his desk and pulled out a photograph. A young girl, maybe 7 years old, with dark curls and a gap-toothed smile. She was holding a stuffed elephant, standing in front of a house that looked nothing like the Callahan mansion. My sister, Cross said quietly. Maria. When I was 12, she was taken by a man who worked for a wealthy family in our neighborhood. He was charming, trusted. Everyone loved him. His voice hardened. It took 3 years to find her. By then, she was different, broken in ways that never fully healed. He put the photograph away, his eyes distant. I became a detective because of her, because I know what it's like when no one believes you, when the people with money and power get to write the story while everyone else gets erased. He looked at Lena. You're not a nobody. You're the only person who saw through Elena Vance, and I'm going to make sure the world knows it. Lena blinked back tears she didn't have the energy to shed. Thank you, she said. Thank you for believing in me. Don't thank me yet. We've got a long road ahead. Lena returned to the estate that evening, not as a resident, but as a visitor. Victor had officially terminated her employment. For the safety of the family, his lawyers had written, pending the outcome of the investigation. She wasn't allowed past the service entrance, couldn't enter the main house, couldn't see the children. But Iris found a way. The girl appeared at the garden gate just after sunset. Oliver the rabbit clutched to her chest. Her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed. Miss Lena? Lena knelt, pulling Iris into a fierce embrace through the iron bars. Sweetheart, are you okay? Is Noah okay? He came home from the hospital yesterday. He's sleeping a lot, but the doctor said he'll be fine. Iris's voice dropped to a whisper. She's back, Miss Lena. Serena. She's pretending like nothing happened. She made us pancakes this morning and smiled the whole time, but I saw her face when Daddy wasn't looking. She's angry. Lena's blood chilled. Has she hurt you? Either of you? Not yet, but she watches us all the time now, and she told me. Iris hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. She told me that if I said anything bad about her, Mommy's ghost would come for me, that Mommy died because she told secrets, and the same thing would happen to me. Rage surged through Lena, white-hot, barely contained. Listen to me, Iris. That woman is a liar. Everything she says is designed to scare you, to control you. Your mother loved you more than life itself. She would never hurt you. Do you understand? Iris nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. I need you to be brave for me, just a little longer. Can you do that? I'll try. Good girl. Lena pressed a folded piece of paper into Iris's small hand. This is Detective Cross's number. If anything happens at all, you call him. Hide the paper somewhere safe. Don't let anyone see it. Iris tucked it into Oliver's stuffing, her fingers trembling. "Miss Lena, will you come back? I promise." Lena's voice cracked. "I promise I'll come back for you, for both of you." Footsteps crunched on gravel. A security guard rounded the corner, flashlight sweeping the path. "Go," Lena whispered, quickly. "I love you." Iris ran, and Lena stood alone at the gate, watching the mansion swallow the child whole. Over the following weeks, the battle intensified. Elena's lawyers launched a media campaign, painting her as a victim of a deranged employee's obsession. Maid's jealousy turns deadly, the tabloids screamed. Billionaire's fiancé targeted by unstable housekeeper. Lena's face was everywhere, unflattering photos pulled from old social media accounts, stories about her difficult childhood twisted into evidence of mental instability. Former foster siblings were paid to give interviews. She was always strange, one said. Obsessive. She latched onto families that weren't hers. The lies piled up like stones, burying the truth deeper with each headline. But Detective Cross kept digging. He reached out to Interpol, requesting files on Elena Vance's previous identities. He tracked down a former housekeeper from the Lisbon case, a woman named Daniela who'd been dismissed and discredited just like Lena. "She told me the same thing," Daniela said over a crackling phone line. "That I was crazy, that I was obsessed. I spent 3 years trying to prove what she did to that little girl. No one believed me. The family moved away. Elena vanished. And the child." Her voice broke. The child was never found. Cross shared the recording with Lena late one night, his face grim. "There are more, at least 4 other families across 3 continents. Same pattern every time. She ingratiates herself with wealthy widowers or divorcees, targets the children, and when things go wrong, she pins it on the help and disappears. Why hasn't anyone stopped her? Money, power, connections." Cross's jaw tightened, and because people like Elena are very good at making themselves indispensable, by the time anyone realizes what's happening, she's already rewritten the narrative. Lena stared at the files spread across Cross's desk, photographs of children, police reports, newspaper clippings from a dozen countries. How do we beat her? We find the one thing she can't spin. Cross tapped a photo of a young boy from the Johannesburg case. Survivors, witnesses, people who saw through the lies and lived to tell about it. He paused, and we get Victor Callahan to open his eyes before it's too late. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Victor requested a meeting. Not at the mansion, at a neutral location. A coffee shop downtown, far from Serena's watchful eyes. Lena arrived early, her nerves frayed. She'd rehearsed what she wanted to say 100 times, but now, sitting across from the man who fired her, who believed his predator fiancé over the woman who saved his son's life, the words tangled in her throat. Victor looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, a tremor in his hands. The polished billionaire was cracking. "I don't know what to believe anymore," he said quietly. "Serena's lawyers say you planted that evidence, that you're dangerous, but Iris..." He stopped, swallowing hard. "Iris cries every night. She begs me to bring you back. And Noah woke up yesterday asking for Miss Lena. Not Serena. Not me, you." Lena's heart ached. "Mr. Callahan, I know how this looks. I know you have every reason to doubt me, but I need you to listen to what I'm about to tell you." She told him everything, the phone call she overheard, the photographs in the greenhouse, Elena Vance's history of targeting families, the other children who suffered or vanished because no one believed the people trying to protect them. Victor listened in silence, his face growing paler with each revelation. When she finished, he didn't speak for a long time. Then, finally, "I loved Catherine. When she died, I thought I'd never feel anything again. And then Serena appeared, and she was warm, attentive. She made me feel like I wasn't alone." His voice cracked. "I wanted to believe in her. I needed to believe in her, because the alternative was too horrible to face." "I understand," Lena said gently, "but your children need you to face it now, before it's too late." Victor met her eyes, and for the first time, she saw clarity breaking through the fog of denial. "What do you need me to do?" Tides are turning, but Elena Vance doesn't go down easily. She's survived worse, escaped tighter corners, and she's not about to let a maid and a grieving father destroy everything she's built. If you're feeling the tension right now, if you're rooting for Lena and those kids, drop a comment and let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button so you don't miss what comes next. Victor's cooperation changed everything and nothing. He agreed to wear a wire, to play the loving fiancé while Detective Cross gathered evidence, to keep his children close while the trap was set. But Elena Vance hadn't survived a decade of deception by being careless. 3 days into the operation, she discovered the wire. Lena got the call at 2 a.m. Cross's voice was tight, barely controlled. "She's gone and took the children." The words didn't register at first. Couldn't register. "What do you mean gone?" Victor confronted her, lost his nerve, started shouting about Lisbon, about the photographs. Shiva knocked him unconscious with a fireplace poker and vanished. Noah and Iris were in bed. Now their rooms are empty. Lena's legs gave out. She slid down her apartment wall, phone pressed to her ear, the world tilting sideways. Where? Where would she take them? "We don't know. She has aliases, safe houses, contacts we haven't identified. She could be anywhere by now." No. She promised Iris that she would come back for them. And now they were gone in the hands of a woman who buried one of them alive and wouldn't hesitate to finish what she started. "There has to be something," Lena breathed. "The photographs, the documents," she mentioned names, places. "We're running everything, but Lena," Cross paused. "There's something else, something we found in the greenhouse box that we didn't understand until now." "What?" "A property deed, an old farmhouse about 3 hours north, registered under one of her aliases, Serena Vance. She bought it 6 years ago and never sold it. We think it might be a contingency location, somewhere to disappear if things went wrong." Hope, fragile, desperate, flickered in Lena's chest. "I'm coming with you." "Lena, this is a police operation. I can't. Those children know me. They trust me. If Elena has them cornered, if she's threatening them, I might be the only person who can get through to them." Her voice hardened. "I'm coming. Try to stop me." Silence. Then a sigh. "Be at the precinct in 20 minutes. And Lena, pray we're right about this." The farmhouse sat at the end of a dirt road, surrounded by dead fields and skeletal trees. No lights, no vehicles visible. Just a crumbling structure that looked like it hadn't been touched in years. But fresh tire tracks scarred the mud. Cross positioned his team around the perimeter. Lena waited in an unmarked car, her heart hammering, watching officers move like shadows through the pre-dawn darkness. Then, a scream. Iris's voice, high and terrified, piercing the silence. Lena didn't think. She ran. She heard Cross shouting behind her, heard boots pounding on frozen ground, but nothing mattered except reaching that sound. She burst through the farmhouse door, splinters flying, and found herself in a nightmare. Elena stood in the center of a bare room, one arm wrapped around Noah's throat, the other holding a knife to his chest. Iris cowered in the corner, sobbing. "One more step," Elena hissed, "and I open him up." Lena froze. Noah's eyes found hers wide, terrified, but trusting. Even now, even with a blade pressed to his heart. "Miss Lena," he whispered. "I promised, didn't I?" Lena kept her voice steady, though her entire body shook. "I always keep my promises." Elena laughed at that cold, musical sound that haunted Lena's dreams. How touching, the maid who thinks she's a hero. She pressed the knife deeper. Noah whimpered. "But here's the truth, Lena. You're not a hero. You're a footnote, a nobody who got lucky once and thought she could play in a world she doesn't understand." "Maybe." Lena took a slow step forward. "But I understand one thing, Elena. I understand you." Elena's smile flickered. "I know about Lisbon, Johannesburg, Cape Town. I know about the children who disappeared, the families you destroyed, the lives you erased." Another step. "And I know why you do it, because you're empty, because no matter how much money, power, or love, it's never enough. You'll always be hungry, always be hollow." "Shut up. That's why you target children, because they have something you never will. Innocence, trust, the ability to feel." Lena's voice dropped. "You're not a monster because you're strong, Elena. You're a monster because you're broken. And deep down, you know it." Elena's hand trembled. The knife wavered, and in that moment of hesitation, Cross moved. The shot was precisely a taser round that caught Elena in the shoulder, sending her convulsing to the floor. Noah broke free, stumbling toward Lena, and she caught him in her arms as officers swarmed the room. Iris ran to her too, and suddenly Lena was on her knees, holding both children, sobbing into their hair. "I've got you! I've got you! It's over!" Elena was dragged away screaming threats, curses, and promises of revenge. But her voice faded into the dawn, swallowed by sirens and the cold morning air, and Lena held those children like she'd never let go. Elena's arrest made international headlines. Black Widow con artist captured after decade-long crime spree. Interpol released her file 17 aliases, 9 countries, and countless victims. The evidence was overwhelming. But Elena Vance had one final card to play. From her holding cell, she made a statement to the press. "Everything I did," she said calmly, "was orchestrated by Lena Bennett. She manipulated me, planted evidence, and used those children as pawns in her obsession with Victor Callahan. I'm the victim here, and the truth will come out." It was absurd, desperate, the ravings of a cornered predator. But the damage was done. Tabloids ran with the counter-narrative. Elena's lawyers filed motions claiming entrapment and coercion. Social media exploded with conspiracy theories. Half the internet convinced Lena was a criminal mastermind. The other half demanded Elena's execution. And then Victor Callahan held a press conference. Lena watched from her apartment, hands trembling around a cup of cold coffee. Victor stood behind a podium, flanked by lawyers. He looked gaunt, haunted a man who stared into the abyss and found his own reflection. "I have a statement," he said quietly, "and then I'll take no questions." Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. "For the past 2 years, I believed I'd found love again after my wife's death. I was wrong. The woman I knew as Serena Drake was a lie, a carefully constructed persona designed to exploit my grief and endanger my children." He paused, composing himself. "But I'm not here to talk about Elena Vance. I'm here to talk about Lena Bennett." Lena's breath caught. "Miss Bennett came to my household as a housekeeper. She stayed as a guardian angel. When my children were in danger, she saw what I was too blind to see. She risked her career, her safety, and her life to protect Noah and Iris. And I repaid her by believing the lies of a monster." His voice cracked. "I fired her. I doubted her. I let the world drag her name through the mud while she was fighting to save my family. And for that, I am deeply, profoundly sorry." He looked directly into the camera. "Lena Bennett is not a criminal. She's a hero, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to make amends for how I failed her." The press erupted. Victor walked away without looking back, and Lena sat alone in her apartment, tears streaming down her face, finally vindicated. But vindication didn't erase the scars. In the weeks that followed, Lena struggled. The nightmares came nightly, Elena's voice, Noah's blue lips, the weight of dirt in her hands. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was still waiting around every corner. She visited the children twice, but both times felt wrong. Iris clung to her desperately. Noah asked why she didn't live with them anymore. And Victor watched from the doorway with guilt-soaked eyes, offering her a position, a salary, anything but Lena couldn't accept. Not yet. Not when she was still broken. Detective Cross found her one evening on a park bench near her apartment, staring at nothing. "You're not okay," he said, sitting beside her. "Is that your professional assessment? It's an observation from someone who's been where you are." He was quiet for a moment. "After we found my sister, I thought everything would go back to normal. That justice would fix what was broken. But it doesn't work that way. Trauma doesn't care about closure." Lena wiped her eyes. "So what do? You keep going. Not because you're healed, but because giving up means they win." He looked at her. "Those kids need you, Lena. Victor needs you. And whether you believe it or not, you need them too." "I'm scared," she admitted. "Scared that I'll go back, and something else will happen, and I won't be strong enough to stop it." "You already stopped it once." Cross's voice was gentle. "That's more than most people manage in a lifetime." The breakthrough came on a Tuesday morning. Lena woke to a knock at her door, insistent, urgent. She opened it to find Iris standing on her doorstep, Oliver the rabbit clutched to her chest, cheeks flushed from running. "Miss Lena, you have to come back, please." Behind her, a town car idled at the curb. Victor sat in the back seat, watching with desperate eyes. "Iris, sweetheart, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." Iris grabbed her hand. "But Noah had a dream last night. He said Mommy came to him and told him everything was going to be okay now, that the bad lady was gone forever and our family was going to be happy again. But only if you come home." Lena's heart clenched. "Honey, I'm not part of your family. I'm just—" "You are." Iris's eyes blazed with 8-year-old certainty. You saved Noah. You protected us when nobody else did. Daddy says family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up when things are hard. Her voice wobbled. And you always showed up, Miss Lena. Every single time. Lena looked at the little girl, fierce, fragile, refusing to let go. Then she looked at Victor, who'd stepped out of the car and was walking toward her with hesitant steps. She's right, he said quietly. You're family, Lena. Not because of what you did, but because of who you are. And I know I have no right to ask anything of you after everything I put you through. But those children love you. And he swallowed. I've come to realize that I do too. Not romantically, I'm not ready for that, and neither are you. But as someone I trust, someone I respect, someone I want in my children's lives permanently. He extended his hand. Come home, please. Not as a maid, not as an employee, as a family. Lena stared at his hand for a long moment. She thought about the nightmares, the fear, the voice that whispered she wasn't enough, would never be enough. Then she thought about Noah's smile. Iris's fierce loyalty, the feeling of small arms wrapped around her neck. She took Victor's hand. Okay, she whispered. Let's go home. We're in the final stretch now. Elena's in custody, the family's reuniting, and Lena's finally accepting what she's earned, not through blood, but through sacrifice, courage, and love. If this story has you in your feelings, drop a comment. Tell me what moment hit you hardest. And if you're still not subscribed to Unbroken Truths, now's the time, because the ending, it's going to be worth every second. Elena Vance's trial began on a gray November morning. The courtroom was packed with reporters, victims' families, curious spectators who'd followed the case across headlines. Lena sat in the front row, flanked by Victor and Detective Cross. Iris and Noah were safe at home with a trusted guardian, shielded from the circus their lives had become. Elena entered in prison orange, her silk and glamour stripped away. But her cold, calculating eyes hadn't changed. She scanned the room like a predator assessing prey, and when her gaze landed on Lena, she smiled. That smile said, "This isn't over." Lena didn't look away. Yes, it is. The prosecution's case was devastating. Witnesses from 4 countries testified to housekeepers, nannies, former staff members who'd been dismissed and discredited just like Lena. They told stories of manipulation, of children endangered, of evidence planted to frame the innocent. Daniela, the housekeeper from Lisbon, wept on the stand. She took that little girl, Daniela said, her voice breaking. And when I tried to stop her, she destroyed my life, made everyone believe I was crazy. I lost my family, my job, everything, and that child was never found. The jury listened in horrified silence. Then came the evidence from the greenhouse, the photographs, the passports, the documents proving Elena's web of aliases. Digital forensics revealed deleted emails coordinating Noah's burial, payments to the scarred man who'd helped her, and contingency plans for eliminating witnesses, including Lena. If the maid becomes a problem, one email read, handle her the same way. Make it look like suicide. No one will question it. Lena's hands trembled as the prosecutor read the words aloud. She'd known Elena wanted her dead. But seeing it written so coldly, so clinically, made it real in a way that stole her breath. Victor reached over and took her hand. She held on tight. Elena took the stand in her own defense. It was a gamble, her lawyers had advised against it. But Elena Vance had talked her way out of impossible situations before. She believed she could do it again. She performed beautifully at first. Tearful, sympathetic, a woman victimized by a jealous maid and an incompetent investigation. Then the prosecutor asked about Catherine Callahan. Isn't it true, Miss Vance, that Victor Callahan's first wife died in a fire just 3 months before you entered his life? Elena's composure flickered. That was a tragic accident. I had nothing to do with it. And isn't it true that a similar accident occurred in Cape Town in 2018, killing the wife of another wealthy man you were involved with? Coincidence. And in Johannesburg, 2016, another fire, another dead wife, another grieving widower who welcomed you into his home. Elena's smile hardened. You're reaching. Am I? The prosecutor held up a document. We've obtained insurance records, Ms. Vance. In each case, you were listed as a secondary beneficiary on policies taken out just weeks before the fires, policies worth millions. The courtroom erupted. Elena's mask cracked just for a moment, revealing the monster beneath. Those women were weak, she hissed. They didn't deserve what they had. I earned everything I took. Silence. Elena seemed to realize what she'd said. Her face went pale. But it was too late. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty, on all counts. Attempted murder, child endangerment, fraud, conspiracy. And pending further investigation, 3 counts of murder in the first degree for the wives in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and finally, devastatingly confirmed, Catherine Callahan. Elena screamed as the verdict was read. She had to be dragged from the courtroom, hurling threats and curses that echoed off marble walls. "This isn't over, you hear me? I'll destroy all of you, every single one." But the doors closed behind her and her voice faded into nothing. Lena exhaled. It was over. It was finally, truly over. Outside the courthouse, the November sun broke through the clouds. Victor stood beside Lena, looking like a man reborn. The weight of guilt and grief had lifted from his shoulders, replaced by something that looked almost like peace. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly, "for everything you've done, for my children, for Catherine's memory, for giving us the truth." "You don't have to thank me." Lena watched the clouds drift across the sky. "I just did what anyone would do." "No." Victor shook his head. "You did what no one else could, and I'll never forget it." Detective Cross approached, his usual stoic expression softened by something like a smile. "Hell of a case," he said. "Hell of a woman." Lena laughed, a real laugh, the first in months. "Is that your professional assessment?" "It's a fact." He extended his hand. "If you ever want a career change, the department could use someone like you. You've got better instincts than half my detectives." "I'll think about it." She shook his hand, holding on a moment longer than necessary. Something unspoken passed between them, respect, understanding, maybe the beginning of something more. But that was a story for another day. 6 months later, the Callahan estate had transformed. Gone were the shadows, the whispers, the suffocating silence. Sunlight poured through open windows, children's laughter echoed through hallways. The rose garden, once a grave, bloomed brighter than ever, tended by hands that knew the soil held no more secrets. Lena stood on the terrace, watching Noah chase Iris across the lawn. Oliver the rabbit bounced in Iris's arms as she shrieked with joy, dodging her brother's playful tackles. They were healing, slowly, imperfectly, but healing. "They're different now," Victor said, stepping beside her, lighter, happier, because of you, because of us. Lena smiled. "You stepped up, Victor. You chose them over your pride. That matters more than anything I did." Victor was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm selling the mansion." Lena turned, surprised. "What? Too many ghosts, too many memories." He watched his children play, love and sorrow mingling in his eyes. "We're moving somewhere smaller, somewhere we can start fresh, a real home, not a monument to everything I got wrong." "Where? I haven't decided yet, but wherever it is." He looked at her. "I want you to come with us, not as an employee, as a family, officially." Lena's breath caught. "Victor, I know it's a lot to ask, and I know you've built a life here, found your footing, but those kids adore you. And I—" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've learned that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about the people who show up when everything falls apart. You showed up, Lena, every single time." She looked at Noah and Iris, the children she'd saved, the children she loved as fiercely as if they were her own. Then she looked at Victor, a flawed man who'd made terrible mistakes, but who'd also found the courage to face them. "Okay," she said softly, "but I have one condition. Anything. Iris gets to pick the new house. She's got better taste than both of us." Victor laughed, a genuine, full-bodied laugh that made him look 10 years younger. "Deal." That evening, the 4 of them sat together on the terrace, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold and rose. Noah curled against Lena's side, already half asleep. Iris sat cross-legged on the floor, making Oliver dance to imaginary music. Victor poured lemonade into mismatched glasses, his movements easy, unhurried. For the first time in years, Lena felt something she'd almost forgotten: peace. "Miss Lena?" Noah murmured, his voice drowsy. "Yes, sweetheart? Are you going to stay forever?" Lena kissed the top of his head, breathing in the scent of grass and sunshine and home. "Forever and ever," she whispered. "I promise." Noah smiled, nestling closer, and Lena held him tight, knowing finally, completely, that she was exactly where she belonged. 3 months later, Detective Julian Cross stood on the porch of a modest farmhouse, holding a bouquet of wildflowers that looked slightly ridiculous in his calloused hands. Lena opened the door and burst out laughing. "Are those for me? They were supposed to be romantic." Cross looked at the flowers, then at her, a rare blush creeping up his neck. The florist said women like wildflowers. Was she wrong? She was absolutely right. Lena took the bouquet, still grinning. "Come in. Dinner's almost ready, and Iris has been asking about you all day." Cross stepped inside, immediately ambushed by Noah, who grabbed his hand and dragged him toward a pile of toy cars. "You have to see my new track. It goes upside down." "Upside down?" Cross let himself be pulled along, his stern detective facade crumbling entirely. "That sounds structurally unsound. That's what makes it cool." Lena watched them go, her heart full. She and Julian had started slowly coffee dates, long walks, conversations that lasted until midnight. He understood her in ways no one else could. He'd seen her at her worst and believed in her anyway. And he adored the children, treating them with a gentleness that made her fall for him a little more each day. It wasn't perfect. They were both scared, both learning to trust again. But it was real. And that was enough. Later that night, after the children were asleep and Victor had retreated to his study, Lena and Julian sat on the porch swing, watching stars emerge one by one. "I got a call today," Julian said quietly. "From the family in Lisbon. Daniela's finally getting the recognition she deserves. They're reopening the case, looking into Elena's role in the girl's disappearance." Lena's throat tightened. "That's wonderful." "There's more." He turned to face her. "The families of all of them, they're starting a foundation for victims of con artists like Elena, for the helpers who get destroyed trying to protect people. They want to call it the Bennett Initiative." Lena stared at him. "What?" "Your name, Lena. Your story. They want it to mean something, to help people who feel as alone as you did." He took her hand. "You inspired them. You inspired me." Tears slipped down her cheeks, not from sadness this time, but from something she'd almost forgotten how to feel, hope. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything." Julian squeezed her hand. "Just keep being you. That's more than enough." 1 year later, the new house sat on 3 acres of rolling hills, with a wraparound porch and a tire swing that Noah had already claimed as his personal kingdom. Lena stood in the kitchen, flour dusting her apron, laughing as Iris attempted to frost a lopsided birthday cake. "It's abstract," Iris declared, smearing purple icing in a zigzag pattern. "Like Picasso." "Picasso would be proud," Lena agreed. "Now go wash your hands before your father sees the mess you've made." Iris darted off, and Lena paused, taking in the moment. Sunlight through the window, the smell of vanilla and sugar, the sound of Noah arguing with Julian about the aerodynamics of paper airplanes in the living room. Family not the one she was born into, but the one she'd fought for, bled for, almost died for, the one she'd chosen. Victor appeared in the doorway, holding a small wrapped box. "For you," he said simply. "From all of us." Lena unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a delicate, elegant, engraved with 4 intertwined letters. LVNI Lena, Victor, Noah, Iris. "Open it," Victor said softly. She did. Inside was a tiny photograph of the 4 of them at the new house, taken the day they moved in. Laughing, together, whole. Lena pressed the locket to her heart, unable to speak. "You saved us," Victor said, "and now we're yours, forever." She looked at him, at the man who'd learned to see, the children who'd learned to heal, the life she'd built from the ashes of everything she'd lost. "No," she whispered, "we saved each other." And in the kitchen of a farmhouse on a hill, surrounded by laughter and love and the beautiful chaos of family, Lena Bennett finally understood what home meant. Not a place, not a person, but a choice was made every single day, through fear and doubt and darkness, to show up for the people who matter. She'd made that choice when she dug a boy out of the earth. She'd made it when she faced a monster and refused to break. And she'd make it again tomorrow and every day after, for as long as she lived. Because that's what love is, showing up, every single time. If this story moved you, if Lena's journey reminded you that courage can come from the most unexpected places, then do me a favor, like this video. Subscribe to Unbroken Truths, and drop a comment telling me, what would you have done in Lena's place? Your voice matters, your story matters, and I'll see you in the next one.